can't be free. I take the weight on my shoulders. I feel the sky come down on me, and I can't hold it much longer. Gotta let go so I can be free. Yeah, yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah, yeah.
It's Ohtani Day on FT Friday. Who's feeling it? Raise your hand if Shohei Ohtani. Come on, Shohei Ohtani. Is he signing today before midnight? Raise your hand. Wow, just me? All right. All good. What's going on?
FT Wednesday and next week. Wednesday.
Okay. Locane's back in the house. Todd Father. Thanks to everyone for 29K, almost 30K subs on YouTube alone. Obviously, if you're following us anywhere else, pod, social, etc., check us out on YouTube. That's the spot. Okay. And of course, shout out to our friends on Stadium on here right now. No, before we start, actually, you know what? Let's start because this is part of it. Charge the Mound, Shohei Ohtani updates, getting insane. It's basically TMZ instead of FT Live today. You know, we got flights being tracked. JP Morosi puts out that his decision is imminent, possibly as early as today. So let's start with this. Lo, what does imminent mean to you? Like if you had to put a timeline on it. So does imminent mean within 24 hours? Does imminent mean within 3 days? When does someone put out a report like this and the time expire that they would be wrong? Do you know what I'm saying? Like right. if it, in my mind, if it was next Wednesday, that's not imminent. So imminent to me means today. What does it mean to you?
Agreed. I would say before the end of the day, that's imminent to me. So I think by the end of the day, we should know something according to this source. But hey, if we have to wait another week, I mean, you know, this is a waste of a tweet or
I can call it out. I'm friends with JP Morosi, Locan. He'd be wrong. 100%. He's putting his reputation on the line right now. It's got to happen today.
Yes.
Well,
I agree.
Well, imminent means about to happen. So does that mean it's about to happen now? It's about to happen in a week? We don't know. So he's actually covering his track. So if you do look up the word, it says about to happen, but it doesn't say specifically when it's about to happen. So
well, then I'll say it's imminent. Is today. I think you put that out. Imminent means it's happening today.
Yeah, I don't think you put that out without thinking it's going to happen within the next 24 hours.
Yep.
So we'll see. We'll see. I mean, I don't think it will, but we'll see.
So let me give you some more clues. Ben Nicholson Smith covers the Toronto Blue Jays and points out the significance of December 8th. That is the last time Shohei Ohtani signed. That was with the Angels. And it was on December the 8th. So 6 years ago, he made that call. There's been a lot of people referring to Japanese culture and how 8 is a lucky number there. Shohei Ohtani number is 17 from the Angels, 1 + 7. The Yankees are holding 18 for Yamamoto. So 8's one of those standout numbers in Japan. So there could be some superstitious nature to it. Not that we really know, but I can see that. Hey, if you could do whatever you want, right? Todd Father, like you're in complete control. You have all the leverage. You get to pick where you go, the money. No one's allowed to talk about it, etc. Right? You might as well pick the day too and make it special.
Listen, I want to be the guy that has the number he wants. Okay, I whatever team he goes to, I want to be the guy that has, say, 17. Because guess what? He's not just going to give up that 17. It's about, hey, man, what do you got for me? And hey, a guy, he might write him a $50,000 check, you know, or he might buy him a new car. I don't know. I hope to God, whoever has the number he wants has it already, just so that dude can get a nice, handsome watch or a nice suit or something. That's all I'm praying for, whoever team he has.
There's a plane involved, and this is where I need Lowe's expertise. Okay. So Jim Bowden posted about the flight tracker and how there was a flight Friday morning that went from Anaheim to Toronto. They do not list who the humans are that go on these flights, but we at least know that they're happening. So take that for whatever you think that is. I'll read it for you. So he said, who knows if this is anything related to Ohtani, but credit Twitter users who have identified a private jet scheduled this morning to fly from Anaheim to Toronto. And even if it is it a visit to Toronto since he went to Dunedin last Monday, or is he going to sign? I think that he actually did kind of quietly, secretly visit Toronto already. It didn't sound like anybody could confirm that, but there's your flight. So here's my question where I need your expertise, Lo. I remember back after the 2017 season, we kept tracking like Oklahoma to Milwaukee. What does it mean? You signed a big-ass deal years back. Take me through what's going on right now. I think you weren't just talking to the world about it, but you were definitely not as secretive as Shohei Ohtani. I don't think you told teams don't say anything, but
Right.
Can you relate at all here to what he's going through right now when you're being courted?
100%. Like I say, I took the flight, to Milwaukee. Everyone who knows me, I'm just starting to get on social media like this. So it's amazing that people can find out anything nowadays. That's the impressive part. But yeah, I was in Milwaukee. I don't know how the information got out. It's not like I posted or told anybody. So I think this has something to it. And if he is just visiting, hopefully they're rolling out the red carpet for him. Because if he's a superstar that we know, you don't let guys like that out of the building. So hopefully he goes there. The visit's great. They're rolling out the red carpet, and hopefully, I know as the Toronto fans in general would love for him to sign there for sure.
Where are we at, though? Do any of these rumors or clues help to steer your decision one way or another? Because for so long, the Dodgers were the front runner. They're the odds leader by far the entire year. You do surveys, everyone thinks, or the majority thinks, that's where he's going. If you have to pick right now, where's he going?
Oh man, that's the tough part. I mean,
got to decide. Hey, if you're wrong, you're wrong. It doesn't matter. You're just guessing. We don't know shit. But what you got?
Let's go with Toronto. We're all the visits are pointing out there. I know once I visited Milwaukee. Everything was already locked in by the time I visited Milwaukee. I had already agreed, and we had come to an agreement, and I was basically there getting a physical without anybody knowing. So, hey, I think if I had to just pick a team right now, I would pick Toronto.
Todd Father?
I hope it's on the East Coast. That's all I hope for. I mean,
does Toronto count?
Oh, yes, it does. For sure. I mean, Boston, Toronto, Orioles, Philly. I mean,
why do you hope it's on the East Coast, dude?
So I can watch them more. I'm sleeping by the time the games come on, man. Same thing with Mike Trout. Once Shohei goes, somebody trade for his ass too. So Toronto would be great. I'm going to say, oh, man.
It's tough.
It's tough. I think the guess is LA, the Dodgers, but I'm going to stick with Toronto too.
Is there any chance that the Blue Jays have a higher offer right now and he really wants to go to the Dodgers, but maybe the Blue Jays have him beat by 50 mil? Like maybe the Dodgers are at 550 and the Toronto's like 600.
I think they have to. Man, it's so hard because is he doing it for the money? No, we know that. But another 25, 30 million on top of what you're going to make, I mean, that's a simple yes for majority of America. So, and in the world, I should say. So, you think about everything, LA, the taxes, you think about living, you think about traffic, you think about East Coast, West Coast, where's your family meet best? What are they going to do? They're going to provide the housing for you. Is everything taken care of? Do you have your own chef? I mean, there's a lot of things that go into this that people don't understand. Like for this kind of athlete, not just where he wants to go, how much money he's going to make, but the little things that count too as well.
So what happens here, Lo? Did you sit down with Milwaukee and did they start telling you about like their farm system? Does it even get that deep, or it's more like, hey, we've got good facilities, we like you a lot, we're a good team right now? Like take me through what you remember was a factor for you. And even if it wasn't a factor for you, what are they trying to sell a big free agent on? Like what is in the conversation when they sit down and they do the small talk and then they get into things? What happens next?
I personally was in a little bit of a different situation than Ohtani. See, Milwaukee was the team that drafted me, so I had a comfort level with them. So I initially flew out to LA and met with the owner and the GM and everybody. And just, they gave me this whole rundown and this vision that they, expected from the team and what they want to do going forward. So to me, because I wanted to either go to Milwaukee or Texas. Texas, they were in and then they were out. So my next choice was Milwaukee because it was a comfort thing. I'm big on comfort and a family atmosphere. So I was in a little bit of a different situation than Ohtani. Who knows what they're selling him? But for me, at the end of the day, it comes down to comfort. Is my family gonna feel safe out here? I got 3 boys. So that's why I eventually decided to choose Milwaukee because I knew the coaches, I knew the trainers, I knew so many people in the minor league system. So that's what kind of finalized the decision for me.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Let's spend 2 minutes here on Juan Soto. He sent his farewell note, and he is definitely keeping an eye on the Ohtani sweepstakes for next year. Where's the number at? Okay, I see it. So he sent a little farewell note to the San Diego crowd, and there it is. And it was, pretty simple. Yeah, simple goodbye. Because also I think he is fired up to join the Yanks. But it included in that second paragraph, my arrival was a roller coaster of emotions, but what a good journey it's been to my fans. Feeling your support and love for me has been a gift from God, for which I am grateful every day. So it was short. It was like 4 sentences.
I want to ask you this. As a non-professional athlete,
Yep.
do you think like farewells are needed? Like, I'm not trying to be rude.
As a fan.
As a fan, like, do you appreciate that? Or even if he didn't say that, would you be like, oh, man, what a jerk. He didn't say goodbye?
You know how sometimes we have in our polls, like yes, no, or I don't care? I would be in the I don't care mode for this particular case. If it's Joey Votto leaving the Reds for $1 million years, I want a little note from a guy who's all over social media, right?
Sure.
If it's Juan Soto for a season and a half in San Diego, I'm good either way. Like, I definitely don't need one. If you put something like this out, okay, that's fine. That's how I feel about it. Yeah, that's a good question. I think if you are a player who was with a team for a long time and just retired or gets traded or signs elsewhere, Freddie Freeman, good example, right?
Yeah.
You're a Braves fan, you're hurting the jersey forever. He's your favorite player. He signs with the Dodgers. No matter what you think of what happened, I want a little something, right?
But you wouldn't be like, oh, what a jerk. Like, would change your mind on the person if he didn't do it?
No, just on the letter, no. I mean, I just would lean more towards it's the right thing to do if you've been with the team for a long time and you're really connected to the city. So, I don't know how you felt. Yeah, with this one low, but I was kind of like, that's fine. I mean,
I was just
either way. Yeah.
I personally, I didn't really, like I said, I didn't have social media, so I didn't really put out a letter once I left KC. So, I mean, we did a little, deal at the end there when we walked off the field. The fans did a, standing ovation for myself, Hosmer, and all those guys. And to me, that was kind of the send off. And as we know, Kansas City fans, they know how to do it the right way. So that was kind of my send off.
No doubt.
Now's your time, though. It's not too late.
All right, everybody. Hello.
Hello on Insta. Guys, I know it's been 7 years or whatever it was. Sorry, I forgot. Here's the note.
I like it. I'll work on it.
Hey, I'll mention this because it's our poll question. What should the Mets do with Pete Alonso? If he ends up leaving in free agency after next year or he gets traded, I think he would put something out there. Fans, the LFGM. So what should the Mets do with Pete? A, extension. B, trade. C, nothing, as in let him ride out the last year of his deal with the Mets or of team control with the Mets and then see what happens in the offseason. Watchstadium.com/foul territory. And then we're going to talk to Tim Healey, who just wrote about the news, or really non-news. There he is, right? Thumbs down, I would say, Tim, right now, as he joins us coming up next.
We speculate about these things, as I was doing in the column, but you never know how it's going to play out. Which guys are going to get hurt, for how long. If Stanton is on the IL for any length of time, as he probably will be, then the DH spot opens up and they can maybe do some things to slide people around. Grisham into the outfield, DH Soto or Judge or Verdugo on a given day, there will be possibilities. As Eric was saying, they now have depth. At the same time, it does concern me putting Aaron Judge in the outfield when he's 6'7", 282 pounds. I'm sorry, in center field, because it is a more taxing position. And I quoted Sean Casey from his podcast yesterday, basically saying, no, I don't want to see this. That might have been a little extreme, but there is a concern there. And the contrast I drew in the column with Mookie Betts and Bryce Harper, basically guys were the same age, and they're moving to less taxing positions. That to me is significant. Judge is a guy who has had some injuries in his career, some of them flukish that have nothing to do with really how he plays the game, but there is an increased risk of injury in center field. And when you have 8 years to go on a 9-year, $360 million contract and you're in your early 30s, it's not ideal. Maybe the Martian, as Scott said, comes up in the middle of the season and they have to do some other things, maybe trade Verdugo at that point. Who knows? Maybe other guys get hurt and things happen and they get other players. There's all kinds of possibilities. But for me, as for Sean Casey, there's just a concern here with playing Judge in center field on a regular basis.
And now, back to foul territory.
Back at it, FT on Stadium with Braun Locane, Todd Father, and Tim Healey from Newsday, who covers the Mets, joining us right now. Tim, great to see you. Happy almost holidays. And let's get right into the non-story that you posted. That is a story last night for Newsday. So why is Pete Alonso not loved by the Mets right now?
Well, I don't know it's that they don't love him, but as I reported, there just haven't been any contract extension negotiations to this point in the offseason. At the beginning of the offseason, the negotiators on both sides turned over, right? Pete Alonso hired Scott Boras, and the Mets hired David Stern. So those parties, the new parties, just haven't talked about it. And that could be for a few reasons. One is those sorts of talks don't really happen usually until January, February, maybe March leading up to opening day. But then the other is the very real possibility that an extension just does not happen this offseason, and both sides are comfortable letting 2024 play out however it does, the season and then Alonso's free agency. So to this point, what we know is no talks between Alonso and the Mets, and I'm not super confident that that's going to change soon.
Now, from covering Pete for the 5-6 years that he's been there, I don't know exactly. Does he have that feel that he wants to stay in New York? Do you have that feeling that, is he not afraid to go anywhere else, or does he love it in New York like it seems?
Well, he likes New York. He says all the right things about liking New York. But for not just Pete, but for anybody, I think you kind of can't help but wonder what might be out there for you professionally, financially, personally, living in a new city, a new part of the country. So I think Pete likes New York plenty, but that's not necessarily going to, that doesn't mean necessarily that there's only one team in his heart of hearts. You know what I mean?
What up?
Go ahead, Lo, you good?
All right. Oh, sorry about that. Yeah. Well, the question I have is, do we have another Ohtani situation playing out where he neither gets signed or traded? I can't see that happening again.
It's quite likely that, if the Mets don't sign Alonso to an extension before the season, it's going to be his free agent year, which will raise the interesting possibility that if the Mets aren't in at the trade deadline, maybe they trade him. The risk they run with that, of course, would be, even though they could always re-sign Alonso into that scenario, when guys get traded and see what it's like elsewhere, sometimes it opens their eyes to, wow, actually, life is okay in a new city, in a city other than the only one I've ever known. So that will be an interesting storyline over the first half of the season. But I think back to what Steve Cohen said in August after the trade deadline when he was asked about Alonso and his contract and an extension. He referenced Brandon Nimmo, and Brandon Nimmo hired Scott Boras going into his last season before free agency, had a very good year, did not get a contract extension, reached free agency, did the whole meetings with other team thing, and then came back to the Mets. So that kind of feels like the most likely option right now here with Pete Alonso.
Let me ask you this. I want to jump to Yamamoto real quick. Seems like this is, besides Ohtani, this is the guy that a lot of teams are on right now, especially in New York. You think about the Yankees and Mets. Stearns made a trip to meet with him, along with Steve Cohen, I think, too, as well, if I'm not mistaken. What did you get from that? And do you think the Mets are gung-ho? This is the guy we got to shake down and get right now.
What I made of it is that, yes, they're absolutely gung-ho. Yamamoto is plan A. He would be the biggest ticket of their offseason, the biggest addition of their offseason. But that's true for a lot of teams. The Yankees really want him, and their fan base really wants him. Red Sox and their fans, Dodgers and their fans, depending on how the Ohtani stuff sorts out. So Yamamoto is going to really cash in. He's going to get by far the biggest contract of any Japanese player coming to the United States. And it's going to be interesting because if the Mets don't land Yamamoto, I'm not sure that they're going to be after the other elite starting pitchers on the market. Blake Snell, two-time Cy Young Award winner. Jordan Montgomery had a great year last year, especially in the playoffs. Those guys are going to get big deals. I'm just not sure that the Mets are going to be big players for them. So a lot of their hopes ride on Yamamoto. He's only 25 years old, so he fits their timeline perfectly. A little bit of a reset in 2024 before really trying to win in 25 and 26 and beyond. So a lot of the Mets offseason plan rides on Yamamoto. They should know within the next week or two whether they get plan A.
And Gary Sheffield Jr. is trying to scoop people, but he basically said, and we can show the tweet in a second here. There it is. Reports are saying Yamamoto, quote, wants the biggest stage. The biggest stage resides in New York, and it ain't in Queens. Money talks in most cases, but if what he says is true, he's in pinstripes, rocking number 18 in April. Do you feel, covering the Mets, that they are very much second fiddle for a player if he is in a similar money range? I also think that even if the Mets feel like they do need to offer more, their purse is bigger.
Yeah. Well, their purse is definitely bigger. They are the richest baseball team in New York City, that's for sure. But to Gary Sheffield Jr.'s point, the Mets aren't the sexiest brand in New York City, right? The Yankees are far more iconic, far more winning historically, all that stuff. We know that. So as much as the Steve Cohen era is supposed to be a new era, level of playing field in that respect, they can't compete if a guy really, truly values the pinstripes, the Yankees logo, all that stuff, the tradition. Then no, the Mets cannot compete on that level. They can compete, though, financially. And it depends on what Steve Cohen really wants when it comes down to it. Because he has the ability to blow away the Yankees and anybody else looking to sign Yamamoto with the contract offer. It's just a matter of, is he really going to go over the top on that offer, or is he kind of trying to stay a little more even keel with that after a couple of eventful years?
All right, let's bring in Todd Father actually for this one too. So, Todd, you played for the Yanks and for the Mets. Is it real? If everything was pretty much the same, do you think Yamamoto says, I like that Yankee tradition and everything else? Plus, I mean, right now, I would say percentage chance of Yankees versus Mets making the playoffs, if that's important to him on the short term, I would think so. What do you think, Todd Father? You've got both sides here.
On the spot.
I don't mind at all. I think it is true. I think there's a certain tradition in the Bronx compared to Queens. I mean, from playing from both teams, I get that question all the time. Like, what's the difference? Well, it's just sometimes in Queens, as Tim knows, I've had it out with some reporters, during the seasons and stuff. It seems like, no offense to Tim or those guys, but they're looking always for the juice, always trying to find the problem. You know what I mean? And in New York, it's, there's problems, but guess what? They don't. It's just a different way of going about it. And some things get swept under the rug, some don't. But the tradition in New York when it comes to the Bronx, it's winning. It's going in there, shaving your face. People talk about shaving their face. Maybe that's a problem, but it's just something that is just different from everybody else. You're held to a higher standard. And I think that's where I'm getting at when it comes to that, Tim.
Can I make one point here, though, on the media side, and a question, I guess, too?
Sure.
Because, I mean, you do get a lot of the same media that'll crisscross and go to both Yanks and Mets. You were there for Wilpon era, right? You weren't there when Cohen was owning the team. In my mind, and Tim, you can help me out here, too. I think the way that things have been conducted so far with the new group, as they still also take on a ball club, and I've learned about this too, and you're an organization with hundreds of employees, you can't just take over a team and fire everyone. You go through an evolution, a process. Where are the problems? Where can we get better? And that even includes their president of baseball operations now in David Stearns. I think there was more drama created by the previous regime on a daily basis in terms of how they were running the team. And that also led to a lot more drama with the Mets. Is that fair?
I'd say so. I would say so. I mean, I give a prime example of Noah Syndergaard, man. Or what's his name? The Dark Knight. I'm just drawing a blank.
Oh, Harvey?
Harvey.
Yep.
Two guys that all of a sudden one thing went wrong, and next thing you know, it's like anytime they pitched, there was something else. And sometimes they put it on themselves. Don't get me wrong, but it was there was a lot more people in their lockers. Usually when it came to after they were done pitching or when something was going on. Tim, what do you think?
I think the idea of the Steve Cohen Mets being cleaner, running a tighter ship, all of that stuff, as opposed to the Wilpon Mets, is in a lot of ways still just theoretical, because it's been 3 years since Steve Cohen bought the team, and it's been really eventful, sometimes in good ways and sometimes in bad ways. They've had turnover at manager still, turnover at GM. So there has been a learning curve for the Steve Cohen Mets that I think he has figured out or is figuring out. And now they've got David Stearns, they've got Carlos Mendoza. So it's another fresh start, and maybe this one sticks and is more like what people thought was going to happen when Steve Cohen bought the team. But yes, the Wilpon Mets were absolutely chaotic. And so the Steve Cohen Mets have also been chaotic, but maybe a little less so. And moving forward, probably much less so, I would guess.
Yeah, and I want to jump off there. What changes have you seen since Stearns has taken over, if any? Have you seen any differences? The way he goes about, being one of the top guys in the organization.
Well, it's a small sample size still, so we're still figuring it out. We have to see what spring training looks like, see what a losing streak or mediocre season looks like, things like that. But he, in trying to apply his Brewers experience, that wisdom, to the Mets, it's been interesting. I think whereas the Mets of the recent past under Epler and Cohen were gung-ho, all in on free agency, win immediately, try to buy a championship, all that stuff with Scherzer, Verlander, etc. That didn't work out. So this is a little bit of a reset. Stearns is able to spend a lot more money, of course, with the Mets than he did with the Brewers, but I think he's still going to be selective in that. And that's why, even if they're not all in on 2024, Yamamoto, for example, only 25 years old, is an exception. And it seems like, frankly, they do a better job of not leaking stuff, which is always, I think, a good thing for a front office, even though it's a bad thing for reporters covering the team. It makes it harder, of course. So I credit them for that. They operated almost entirely in secrecy on the manager search front throughout October. There were very little leaks to come out of that. But overall, I think the David Stearns Mets and his front office is still evolving. Roster-wise, definitely. front office. He's made several key additions, and that group is, coming together, gelling together.
Yeah, Todd, that's a good point on Stearns. I wanted to ask about Stearns as well because, him moving to the Mets, I assume that he would be more aggressive because he has more money to spend, with Milwaukee. So now, it's good to see that he's kind of bringing that, build through the farm system kind of mentality to New York, as well as going out to get free agency. So that's good to see. But if they're able to get Yamamoto, do you think this becomes a playoff team?
I think they need more than Yamamoto. The bar that the Mets have set for themselves is to be competitive, right? And that's sort of a general term. David Stearns did say, though, in October that he expects competitive in 2024 for the Mets to mean competing for a playoff spot. And given the expanded playoffs these days, that's sort of a low bar. You can be in the mid to low 80s win total and feasibly be in the playoff race into and through September. But I think the Mets are going to need more than Yamamoto. They need to hit another hitter, especially in the outfield, maybe at DH. They need to rebuild most of a bullpen behind Edwin Diaz and Brooks Raley. So there's plenty of work to do. This is not a one player away sort of situation, but they can get there over the course of the offseason, absolutely.
So you look at the Diamondbacks making the playoffs and then making it to the World Series, like you mentioned.
Yeah.
And I always mention this on our show, how they had the talks with Verlander and Scherzer kind of saying like, we might not be good next year. But the thing that I keep thinking is if they do land Yamamoto, I think they do a few other things like you mentioned, especially on the pitching side. And can they be a wild card team at 84 wins like the Diamondbacks were? I mean, the Mets coming off what most people would say is a brutal season, won 75 games. Yeah. No Edwin Diaz. Yamamoto, if he's a 1. Kodai Senga right now looks like a really legit 2 in the bigs. And then you fill out the rest of that rotation. Some of the dudes on offense bounce back a little bit, like a Jeff McNeil. I don't know. I think that could be a wild card team. I could see them being better than the Marlins. Marlins made the playoffs too.
Yeah. I mean, I'm sorry to the Marlins, but I hope the Mets are better than the Marlins in 2024. It's totally possible if things fall the right way, which is very easy to imagine because of some of the guys that they have. You can pencil in Alonso for 40 homers and 100 RBIs. Lindor has coming off a great season. McNeil, I'm very comfortable saying he'll bounce back after a down year last year and a batting title the year before. Starling Marte was basically nothing last year, and they think he's healthy now, so we'll see. The young players, I think Francisco Alvarez is going to take another step up. So, yes, there are a lot of reasons to be positive on the Mets. At this still sort of early, maybe middle stage of the offseason where they do have several gaping holes. And Yamamoto certainly would fill the biggest of those holes right at the top of the rotation. And you mentioned the Diamondbacks. They're a great example. The Phillies the year before. It really speaks to the idea of if you just get in, anything can happen. Anybody can get hot in October. And that's, I think, sort of the Mets' approach in 2024. They're not going to go all in. They're not going to win 100 games. But they could be pretty good and then see what happens.
What, in your opinion, besides, pitching depth, what other pieces do you feel that they need to add to make this team a playoff team? Because do they have any guys coming through the farm system that you can think of, or what other pieces can they add to help this team to get to where they need to be?
The biggest thing they need to add on the position player side is an outfielder. Right now, left field is open. They're not going to put any of their real young guys there. Jeff McNeil is primarily a second baseman, David Stearns said this week. So left field is the biggest gap. It could be interesting, though, if they took Brandon Nimmo, who has turned himself in recent years into a very strong center fielder, and moved him to left and signed a very good center fielder like, say, Kevin Kiermaier. I really like that idea. It's sort of like, honestly, I can't get the idea out of my head because I love the idea in theory. No, nothing against Nimmo, who's awesome. But if you had a center fielder in left, which is pretty big at Citi Field, and a center fielder in center, then you're cooking with gas a little bit. You're going to catch a lot of fly balls that way. So I think a move like that could go a long way. Or they could just go with, a bat first left fielder, and that would improve the team too. But figuring out the outfield, adding a legitimate option there would go a long way towards shoring up the defense and the lineup.
Yeah, I have said this, basically since the offseason started, and just the way some things, didn't go their way. I think the Mets, obviously with Yamamoto, I think it's a lock, but I think they win more games than they did last year. Now, the difference between 77 and 87, obviously, is the playoffs, something like that. But let's take it to the Yanks for a sec here, because I liked your little tidbit on Soto and how that trade came together. So, I'll read it from you yesterday. A great example of the impact and importance of organizational depth. After the 2017 season, the Yanks had a bit of a 40-man crunch. Too many worthwhile players, not enough spots. Good problem to have. They cleared 2 spots, dealing Garrett Cooper and Caleb Smith to the Marlins for Michael King. And they didn't have room for those guys. Not a big transaction at the time. 6 years later, big part of the Soto deal. So, do you think we're undercovering moves like that sometimes? And I'm not even talking like player by player. I'm more saying it seems to me that there are a group of teams that often have that crunch, and this is what they do, right? There's the same teams that have the 40-man crunch, and they trade number of players for one higher upside prospect or player, and then that's where a lottery ticket like this works out later on, right?
Yeah, absolutely. I think the Yankees are a great example of a team, an organization that is able to do that. And they get undercovered because they're not sexy moves at the time, right? I remember that trade very much sticks out to me because I was covering the Marlins at the time, and I liked Michael King, who had just had a really solid season in the lower minors. Wasn't a huge prospect, but it was like, okay, this is a New England guy. I like New England guys. Curious to see what he becomes. Then he gets traded to the Yankees in the deal before the Stanton Marlins deal. And I just always have enjoyed following his career. And Garrett Cooper and Caleb Smith, to their credit and to the Marlins' credit, were pretty solid players for Miami for a few years. And then little Michael King ends up being not only a really good pitcher for the Yankees in recent years, but then the key piece in the Juan Soto trade, which is just kind of mind-blowing. So it's not a very sexy thing, but it is a testament to an organization's pro scouting, drafting, player development, all of that largely behind the scenes stuff that really truly moves the needle in ways other than just developing superstars, right? It matters in more subtle ways than, in the Yankees example, they have Volpe and Dominguez, right? Those are probably going to look like big player development wins, big internal wins. But then there's also this smaller stuff too that doesn't get noticed as much.
Yeah, and the Yankees have made a lot of trades. Now, they've whiffed on some of those trades, but many teams can't make the volume of trades like that without completely collapsing their farm system, and that they have not done. So it's a good call. Tim, thanks for joining us, man. Happy Ohtani Day, maybe to you, hopefully to you, so that we can move on to the rest of the free agent process and also talk about this and not on like Saturday at 2 a.m. So appreciate you, man. Have a nice weekend.
Thank you very much. Thanks, guys, for having me.
Thank you. Tim Healey,
Sure.
Mets beat writer for Newsday Sports. You can follow him on Twitter as well. We'll post all of that on the FT Twitter with some clips coming up in just a sec. We'll be right back to go over the center field situation for Aaron Judge. Our expert center fielder will let everyone know if he can handle it long term. Yes, Todd Father, Locan. Let's assume that Soto, like last season, plays a full season, right? 160 plus. How many homers? Can you set a mark for us of what you'd project? I mean, Mark, Mr. Statcast as well. What are we thinking about Yankee Stadium? And Mark, there are many casual fans that are like, confuse your
right field, it's over.
your
He's
tandem
hitting
salon?
55.
32. That's where I'm going. And I know that's going to shock people because it's fewer than he just had. But you look at the kind of hitter he is, right? He's an elite all fields hitter. He's not this dead pull hitter kind of guy. You look at when he put the ball in the air last year, line drives and fly balls. 25% pull rate. He loves to go opposite field. He loves to go the left field power alley, which I think is something that people love about him. He's hard to defend against. And I think what's going to happen is he's not going to gain a ton from the short porch in right field. And some of those balls that flew out last year to left center aren't going to get out in Yankee Stadium because left field is big. I want to make it clear. It doesn't mean I think it's a bad fit. I think he's going to do great there. I think he's going to do wonderful there. But it's not a great park to hit in for lefties. I know that sounds nuts because of the short porch, but because the right field is so small, right fielders play shallower there against lefties than anywhere else. It's the hardest park in baseball for lefties to hit doubles and triples in. So you get the home runs, sure, but there's a cost to it. And so I think he's going to do great. I don't see 45, 50, 55 home runs just because he moved to the Bronx like everybody wants.
Thank you so much. I've been preaching this forever. Unless you're a Anthony Rizzo type of on the dish pull, he's the guy that's going to get some home runs down the line. But even a monster like that, when you hit it down the line, Todd can tell you, it's going deep sauce. You don't need it short. So to me, where is he going to improve moving from the star-studded lineup of Manny Machado, Xander Bogaerts, and, Juan was sitting right in there, Fernando Tatis, to now to the Yankees? Is Juan just going to have another, 158 OPS plus type of season?
I kind of think so. And that's only because he's been so good. It almost feels unfair to ask for him to improve.
And now back to Foul Territory.
Frazier, Braun, Kane back on Stadium for FT. And by the way, Lo, you've got the famous map behind you, and there were suggestions behind the scenes that maybe you should do the Ohtani tracker for us at some point,
Where is he now?
I got you.
Yeah.
Wrong side. Nope. Where we at?
I mean, we could put him in Europe. That'd be fun. Maybe he goes on a nice vacation.
Yeah, from
Oh,
Cali,
it's just out of the
Spain,
picture there, yeah.
north to Canada. There we go. He's
He's
almost
way
there.
up north.
He
You might
should
be
be there in
scaring
about
him,
an hour.
actually, because if
He's
he doesn't
there
like
right-
cold weather, Lo, he might be in for a rude awakening.
But it's indoors.
Got a dome. Take it.
Right. You got the retractable action, but living there, half the year it's pretty damn cold.
Yeah.
But you're right. The retractable is a big factor. I agree. So let's see what else Lo knows. So we got a little low nose action for you. Segment on our expert center fielder here, as Aaron Judge has played center field before. Lo, you've played center. You've played in the corners. What do you think the season looks like for the Yanks if this is the exact outfield construction they go with? And let's assume that players are healthy. We know that injuries are going to happen. I think that's part of why the Yankees are loading up their outfield depth, because they're sick of having, waiver wire guys play half the season for them in the outfield over their stars. But let's just say Giancarlo gets it figured out. He's DHing a good chunk of the year, and Judge has to play a lot of center field. Would you be concerned about what that does to his body long term? I mean, from a guy that certainly from time to time would tell everyone that you're feeling it in the knees and your back and the whole thing. Center field doesn't help, right?
Not at all. They paid him all this money to be a thumper, so you let thumpers thump, you don't put him in center field and have him doing all this running around trying to catch fly balls. All right. You got Verdugo, you got Trent. You throw one of those guys out there, let them be playmakers. You allow Judge to play right field, and you put, Soto in left, or whoever you want in left, or vice versa, and you let that work out, because center field is very taxing on the body. All right. And just a quick story. My guy Witt, once I left KC, he started playing a lot of center, and about a month into the season, he texted me. He said, "Hey man, now I see why you were coming to the dugout, saying you're tired and your feet hurt. Now I understand." So it's taxing on the body, man. So keep him in right, and you guys go out there and let him thump.
So what would you do? Would you keep him completely out of center? Would you have a limited number for him? Like, would you be okay with, I don't know, once a week, which would get you to, if there's about 25 weeks in a major league season, maybe 20-ish starts in center field? Is that a good number? Because I think right now we're looking at 100-ish, which seems to me like way too much for him, right?
To me personally, I completely just allow him to only play right field. Just put him in a position he's comfortable, right, or the corners, either or, whatever he's comfortable in. But I keep him away from center. You know, you paid him to drive and runs. You paid him to hit home runs. He's there because of his bat. Yes, he is a good defender. Don't get me wrong. He's a really good defender. But center field, you got to make sure this guy's healthy day in and day out. And I think placing him in center field is doing a disservice to the New York Yankees.
Who would they put in center then if that's the case? Would that be a Verdugo?
I would say Verdugo or Trent Grisham. He can play center field.
No
but-
Verdugo in center for me. I don't think he's good enough to handle center. That's
So,
my personal opinion. I think in the
hear-
corners he's average-ish.
Hear me out. You put Trent in center, then where do you put Soto and Verdugo?
I say let them rotate. You know, I say let Trent play center. What would we have? 4 outfielders. So Trent in center, Judge in right, Soto in left, and I say they alternate. You know, and who knows? Trent and Verdugo kind of flip flop, pretending. Depending on matchups. But I guess is Verdugo a switch hitter? Is he a switch?
No,
lefty.
Lefty. So we got
they're
two
all
lefties,
lefties
right?
except Judge. Yeah, so you can't just
Well, whoever
one in
swings
against
the
the right.
best, between Trent and Verdugo, and then of course Soto and Judge is, always going to be in the line.
It's a tough decision they're going to have to make because Verdugo, we talked about the other day, he wants to play. It's his free agent year coming up next. Soto, he's going to want to play, and they're not going to let him play. So him and Judge are almost definites in playing, and Verdugo's that much close right behind him. So Grisham's the odd man out, but he's the only center fielder they got. So it's do you maximize your offense or you minimize your defense? I mean, that's the question they're going to have.
Can I make a case that, I mean, for depth purposes, it's good to have right now, but and let's see what happens with Stanton, but you could have yourself a problem at the beginning of the season, like you're saying, Todd Father, where they're playing Judge in center field because of the roster crunch, where their defense would be much better if Trent Grisham is in center. He's an elite center fielder. He's great. He's had problems with the bat. I get it. He also can take a walk, though, and could be a bounce back candidate, in the 8 or 9 spot for the Yanks. It's just that maybe you end up trading Verdugo. I don't know, right? I mean,
I say you force him to play center. I mean, you get to spring training and you work it. You work him as best you can and help him learn the position as best you can. Because I mean, with Verdugo in center, Judge, Soto, Stanton, DH, and that lineup can be unstoppable. So, I mean, Trent, Verdugo, you got to find a way to make it work in center for sure.
Yeah, I'm looking at StatCast numbers for Verdugo. So he had a 1. So it's basically average on outs above average, 67 percentile, but this is in the corners. And the arm strength is high. But, I mean, sprint speed, he's a below average runner. I don't know.
It's tough.
I don't think they're thinking about putting him out there. I think they're serious about putting Judge out there a lot in the beginning and then see what happens. And if Big G gets hurt, things change, right? Then all of a sudden, Judgy can mix into some DH. Soto can mix into some DH. Verdugo maybe at times can mix into some DH too. That changes things. And then Grisham ends up getting a lot of playing time. But at least in the beginning of the season, how this stuff works too, right, Todd? Like last year, the amount of times that they had outfield problems, and you're looking at who's out there, and you're like, damn, this is the outfield for the New York Yankees?
And I think this is part of it because they understand it's kind of inevitable that somebody is going to get injured. That's just the nature of the beast. And to have a guy like Trent Grisham on the bench that can play pretty much any outfield spot. I mean, center field would be his spot, but still to have another guy when somebody goes down, I think this is their case for it. And I think Cashman was thinking about that too as well after the comments he made about Giancarlo. So
yeah,
it's interesting. It's a good move. I mean, it's always good to have a backup plan and have some good athletes waiting in the rear, but you're going to have some angry guys too because not all of them are going to play.
What's going to happen though. They're all going to be healthy. And then it's going to be the conversation in April is going to be, well, what are they doing? Judge is playing center field every day. And then everyone's going to be freaking out if something happens to Judgy too, even if it's something that could happen in the corners, which, when he got hurt at Dodger Stadium, that was in the corner, right? But that was a whole nother issue because for some reason ballparks didn't update themselves and have padding everywhere, which blows my mind. Do you remember that, Lo, when that happened to Judgy last year? Were you pissed off? Like, have you been there before where you're in an outfield and you're like, This is a $13 billion industry. Why is there not padding right in that spot right there?
Yep.
Yeah, it's so weird because I've hit my toe underneath certain spots on the center field wall, and also I've ran into walls where you hit the exact right spot, you can actually feel the pole that's holding up the padded wall. So I crushed my back on a pole once in Milwaukee, and man, it hurt pretty bad. So it's things that they need to figure out as far as the stadium, because like you said, it's $1 billion stadium. Find a way to make it work, make it safe for the players.
Yeah,
Scott,
it's not
he
hard.
did one of those. He got hit by the pole, went down, and then he got to first base, and he's took off and stole the base and shit.
Yep.
You know,
Hey,
I think he stole 4
well.
bags that game, right?
Huh?
I said, I think maybe you stole four bags that game after hurting your back.
That sounds about right.
I like it. All right. We'll swing right back on Stadium with poll results. Last chance to vote. I'm going to do it right now during the break here. Pete Alonso, is he getting traded, or what would you do? Trade, extension, or just leave him and let him play out that free agent season? Be right back.
I don't know about the idea of Judge being your everyday center fielder and maybe playing, I don't know, 100, 120 games. We don't know what Dominguez's situation is and when he'll come back from the Tommy John surgery. It's a draining position. Think about playing right field at Yankee Stadium. How often do you see Aaron Judge have to cover a ton of ground in right field? It's a compact area. His strides, 4 or 5 strides, he's back to the fence. Yeah, if he's running into the gaps, he might have to chase something down. So they seem comfortable and convinced that it's a position. We know he can handle it. We've seen him handle it before. I just think when you're putting more mileage on your best player, and he's 6'7" and 282, I do think that is something that you're going to have to watch very closely.
Is there a number that you think he should play? Is there a number of games out there hoping Dominguez comes back, hoping Grisham can not hit 191?
How about 4 times a week, couple in right field, and a DH spot? And you keep your fingers. Let's see if I got to be on camera here. You keep your fingers crossed. They do like Christian American. Like you, I see the average. I see it's a 216 lifetime average. Little bit of pop, plate discipline. But Cashman made a point of talking about him on the Zoom call and about his elite defensive abilities. But the thing is, are you subbing out Aaron Judge or Juan Soto late? Well, you're not subbing out Judge, but are you taking Juan Soto out in the 8th inning of a 3-1 game? No, there's no way you're doing that. 6-1, maybe, but it's going to be an interesting dynamic how that outfield situation plays out for them. And I do think that Dominguez coming back will make things a lot clearer because he could be your center fielder. These are great questions, and I think Aaron Boone and his staff are going to have to navigate that this year. You look at Garrett Cole, a guy who's going to have some balls hit in the air. You want Trent Grisham running down some of those baseballs in the outfield? You do. But you also want Soto and Judge and even Verdugo getting as many at-bats as possible.
And now back to foul territory.
All right, poll results on Pete Alonso and the lack of communication between the Mets and his side on a potential extension. So what would you do with him right now if you were running the Mets? I voted extension. I think Pete's perfect there. Dude's been consistently bashing homers. I think he's fun. He speaks his mind. A lot of guys can't handle New York. I just think he deserves it. And it's not going to be a 10-year deal. It's going to be a 5 to 7-year deal, which I would be all over it right now. I'm trying to get that done 3 years ago. Extension is leading the pack, followed by trade, followed by nothing. So, Todd, you know him. What would you do? And also, what would you tell him? They got to reach out to him, but I imagine he wants to be there. One team for life. It seems like he loves Mets fans and communicating with them and kind of being, his quirky self.
Yeah, I think if I'm him, I'm nagging them about a contract extension. Like you said, he fits there perfect. He does a lot. He does a lot for the city. He does charitable events, raises money for a lot of unfortunate people in the city. He does everything pretty much for that team, man. He's a leader. He's a guy that you want on the team. If I'm them, hey, man, let's talk. Not today. How about tomorrow? All right, not tomorrow. Let's pick a day, like to try and figure this thing out because he's what the Mets need. And he's a 50-plus homer guy. This dude, he just crushes balls. He's an okay defender. He's getting better and better. He works hard at his craft at first base. He's a fun-loving guy. He makes mistakes just like everybody else. But if I'm him, I'm nagging Cohen. Hey, man, when can we talk? When can we talk? Let's get this thing done. And if Cohen didn't really want him, I would just be honest with him. Like, be truthful because Pete can handle it. He's a big boy, but at the same time, this would be great for him to kind of breathe a little bit more, understanding that, this year I'm a Met for life or I'm a Met for the next 6-7 years. So I think if I'm Pete, I'm going to not. And I go back to when I played, for an example. I remember Skip Schumacher told me, hey, dude, it's your career. You make the decisions. Don't let your agent make the decisions for you. Go get after it a little bit. And, I wish I took that to heart because I would have, hopefully some things would have played out a little better, but I think Pete needs to start nagging a little more.
I think his reps are probably looking to make a massive, massive record-breaking deal. So there could be a little bit of miscommunication there where you're looking back at like Freeman's contract, Paul Goldschmidt's deal, and Boris already mentioned, like, I didn't do those deals, so that doesn't count. Well, then you're going to have a little bit of miscommunication there because those two players are pretty damn good. And I think they're pretty similar age, even though they were, Freeman was a free agent. Goldie had the 1 year left when he signed the extension with the Cardinals. So good to think about. But coming up in hour number 2 on FT's YouTube channel, we have Trent Rosecrans, who's going to go over the Reds situation. Before that, Ross Stripling of the Giants to make a final pitch for Shohei Ohtani. And Lucy Burdge will join us towards the end of the show to go over the updated odds on who's going to win the World Series. So thanks to everyone for watching on Stadium. Have a great weekend. If you want to continue this, FT YouTube with Locane and myself, and we will keep following the fake flight or maybe real flight of Shohei Ohtani. As Ben Nicholson-Smith said, we're following restaurant news. Some people saying there's like reservations being made for a big dinner. Who the hell knows? But we're here if it breaks.
He's actually in my house right now. We're going to have lunch. All right.
So I can be free. I take the weight on my shoulders. I feel the sky come down on me, and I can't hold it much longer. Gotta let go so I can be free. Yeah, yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah, yeah. Oh, yeah.
Hour 2, FC Live. We got a loaded guest list coming your way in just a sec. So Ross Stripling will join us in 2 minutes, and then see Trent Rosecrans on the Cincinnati Reds offseason and what's next for them. And then Lucy Burdge towards the end of the show. And Todd Father, you're going to lead off right here in hour number 2 with a little something special. You always say, I want a 1 of 1. You got a 1 of 1, baby.
I finally got this. Is awesome. The guys at Candyman, they did unbelievable job. If we can get the screen on this bad boy, it's coming soon. Look at that.
Oh,
Look at
wow.
this thing. So beautiful. The whole they got a couple different plays by me.
Nice.
I still don't understand how I hit that one out. Maybe that was just all forearms, all catfish bellies there. Candy did. It's just so cool how they design all these things and how they make it so unique. And now I got this 1 of 1. Nobody could take this from me, and I'm just Gonna marvel at it whenever I need to feel good. There's my first hit of my career right there. Base hit to right. Here we go.
So you got some digital collectible highlights, one of ones
That's sweet, man. Where can I
on the
get one of
infinite
those? That is
object.
sweet.
That's really cool, dude.
Look at me. Oh yeah, shaving too. Look at that face. Oh, and then the home run derby. Look, it's like HD. It's unbelievable.
So that takes Digby video to another level. And if you're new to the party, we mention this every once in a while. Many big leaguers, if they're feeling low, or some do it every day, they watch a few highlights of them at their best. So there you go, Todd, before each show.
Really cool. Really cool. I thank them again. This is good shit. Let them know what time it is. Let's go.
Yes. Are you getting fired up?
I do, man. This is exciting. This is really cool stuff, man. This will eventually, this will be hanging in the house somewhere, or might just put it in the bathroom. Somebody taking a dump, they're like, oh, cool. I get to watch a little video or something. You know what I mean? Why not?
Yeah, they know where it is. Which one gives you the chills the most of those? Probably like 4 plays we just saw.
I'd say the Yankee one, just because we were down two games to none. That big 3-run home run there got us up 3-0 in game. Game 5. So, and hitting a home run in the playoff in Yankee Stadium, there's nothing like it. So,
making the place rumble.
Pretty darn cool, man. They did a great job.
That home run derby was pretty electric too, man.
That was something.
Cincinnati, man. I got to watch. I was able to watch that live, man. That was pretty cool. The crowd was electric.
Ooh. Appreciate it.
And hey, Lo, take it from someone who was in Cincinnati with Todd a few months back. They have not forgotten about it. We're at the Reds game, and we're going through the gates to go up to the suites. And every single person we pass, Top Father. I always remember that derby. You know what else stands? It's not just that Todd did it in front of the home crowd. The other thing that people have to keep in mind is the Reds, had over the past 10 years, like really since then, right? Todd was part of that group with like Votto and Phillips and all that. And then they weren't good for a long time up until basically right now. So that's like the moment that stuck with them. They didn't have like these recent playoff moments for a decade stretch. They're like, this is it. Like Todd Father representing us, a city with a lot of pride. So it was cool. Like they mentioned that. They're like, that's my memory right now for the past 10 years. That's the one.
No better feeling than just people just showing you love like that, man.
Exactly. True.
Yeah. True. All right, let's bring in our next guest, who's actually got his own little something going on with Candy Digital coming up. Ross Stripling joining us right now.
Wait, is he driving to go pick up Shohei Ohtani? Where are you going?
Yep.
Yeah, I'm the final piece to get him to San Fran. They're sending me out there to talk to him. That's where I'm at right now.
So he's not in Toronto. He's in San Francisco, huh? Coming to get him for his physical? Take him?
Shit.
Man, what a crazy thing this has been. I don't know anything. I don't know if you guys know anything, but it's been hilarious and also very exciting to watch. That's for sure.
So let's start with this then on that front. You played for Dave Roberts for a while. Did you see the other day he comes out and says the most basic thing ever, and it becomes like a massive, fire of reporting, and even internally it's like there was reporting, and it included Ken talking to us the other day that they had to talk it out behind the scenes like, hey, Dave, I know you said basically nothing, but shh, don't even say that we met him.
It's incredible. Props to Shohei. Since we've gotten him over here to the United States, he has kept things as close to the chest as you possibly can. It's like after he pitches, you might get a few answers, but other than that, anyone that says like, oh, I know Shohei wants to play for a winner, or I know Shohei wants to pitch every 5th day or whatever, I think that's all BS, man. I don't think anyone has a clue what Shohei wants. And so, we got the whole idea that Shohei wants to keep it private, this whole process private, and then Dave Roberts comes out and says what he says. That's the first wind of anything we've gotten, and it just blows up, because that's the only Shohei headline we can get, and that shows you the power of his free agency and how everyone's anxious to see what's going to happen. So that just small little snippet just shows you where we're at and trying to anticipate what he's going to do.
Yeah, he should have a lot of power. He's a once in a generation player, so let him run the ship the way he wants to. What do you think from the Giants' perspective goes on this offseason? Obviously, they're interested. They want him, but if he doesn't end up there in general, I think the city is like starving for more star power, right? And they've been going after guys. It's no secret. Correa last year, Judge last year, and guys before that too, that they just couldn't bring in. So do you think they're going to be going nuts this offseason for Yamamoto? Your boy Cody Bellinger maybe could be back with the team at some point.
Yeah, I mean, it seems like we're in on everybody, right? We were last year. Aaron Judge doesn't quite work out. Correa doesn't work out, but you could tell they were trying to make moves, bring some star power to San Francisco. Our new manager, Bob Melvin, had a good quote at the winter meetings of saying, we had the Willie Mays era, and then we had the Barry Bonds era, and then the Buster Posey era. Like, who's going to have the next era? It looks like we're trying to find that guy this offseason. At the end of the day, I think almost anybody would say we didn't play a super exciting brand of baseball last year. We need to get more athletic. We need to get more stars on the field, and it's a very competitive division that we need to, be at the top of and want to be at the top of, and there's good talent out there. So it sounds like we're in on everybody. I could see us getting a Matt Chapman, a Cody Bellinger, a star pitcher, a Blake Snell, a Shohei Ohtani. And at the end of the day, we're a big market. We have big expectations to win. We're not that far removed from 3 World Series titles, and the city wants those back. So I legitimately think we're probably on the hook with just about everyone, and trying to make big things happen.
First off, I just want to say you don't even have to look at the camera anymore. You're making me nervous over there. Okay. Secondly, if he doesn't go, Ohtani doesn't go to the Giants, and it's between the Blue Jays and Dodgers, talk to me about the good and bad things about both, and where would you decide if you were him?
Man, gosh, that's a great question. Both places are amazing to play. I really enjoyed both, man. I'm very lucky to be drafted and developed by the Dodgers. They're a well-oiled machine. You don't need to really talk about them much as far as the talent that they've developed over the years, both on a coaching standpoint and a player standpoint. It seems like there's just Dodgers on every team, both in the front office and on the field. And then the Blue Jays, man, I loved it there. At the end of the day, they're the only baseball team in town, right? A whole country supporting them. Once the Maple Leafs inevitably lose in the playoffs, like they always do, sorry to any Canadians listening, they're the biggest thing in town. I mean, it's 40,000 people a night, and they're beloved by the whole country. And that was pretty special to be a part of, especially as a team that played in Buffalo and then made our way back to Toronto and had that welcoming. That was amazing. So really, I don't see him having an issue with either place, but obviously he said, or it seems like he said West Coast is preferential. So LA seems to be a more likely stop for him than Toronto to me. But at the end of the day, like I said at the beginning, nobody has a clue. So we'll see.
And there are reports flying all around, people freaking out. Today is like the ultimate day too, Ross, of just everybody putting on their Ken Rosenthal hat. And then you see it's actually like Twitter wars, right? So someone will put something out there, like a dinner reservation or even just a breaking news just now, and then you'll have a Toronto reporter shoot it down. Like someone's like, oh, he's a J, and then someone's like, no, he's not, no decision yet. So you're seeing like the true best of social media being played out today. Do you look at all that stuff? Like, do you have the alerts running today? Even just as a fan of the game because of how big this is?
100%. I even just tweeted like 10 minutes ago, someone posted like a GIF of, I don't even know what it was from, some guy in Congress that was like getting asked something like 500 times more, 1,000 times more. You guys have probably seen that GIF. It's like, how many times have you checked Twitter today? That's me for sure. I mean, I'm bought into it all the way. Every conspiracy theory. Shohei followed my teammate Logan Webb last week on Instagram. I 100% think that means something. I don't know why, but I'm bought in on that meaning something for sure. So I'm all in on trying to see what's going to happen and believe in every headline I see.
I like that. All right, let's get into your ball club for a second. Aside from the free agent signings and all of that, what do you know about Bob Melvin?
I know that he is a very distinguished manager, and I've been able to play with guys like Matt Chapman and Sean Manaea and some others that have played, Marcus Semien, that were Oakland A's under Bob, Michael Wacha last year in San Diego. I've heard nothing but good things. Been able to talk to him on the phone a couple times. He seems like the real deal. You can obviously see his pedigree and why he's had the success that he's had. He's going to be good for us. You know, I think that last year we did what we had to do to win baseball games, as far as like the openers and the hits and the platooning that we did. But I do think more traditional approach to baseball, fielding 8 everyday players, maybe platooning 1 or 2 spots, having 5 starters, and it seems like Bob Melvin and Brian Price, our new pitching coach, and some of the others that we brought in believe in that. And I just think you can win doing the other thing, the Tampa Bay Rays and some of the San Francisco Giants stuff that we did last year. But I think that with the star power out there on the market and the talent we already have on the team, we can field a more traditional baseball team and have success. And I think Bob is an awesome step in that direction, and really looking forward to playing for him.
Nice. Well, I just want to ask real quick, like, what does your off season look like? Where do you spend your off season? How does your off season training look like? I would love to go on the inside of a pitcher. You know, me being a position player or former position player.
Yeah. Well, for one, man, nice to meet you in person. I've done this now like 10 or 12 times. I don't think we've ever synced up together. So nice to meet you. Fun competing against you over the years. And congratulations on an awesome career, man, for real.
Appreciate that. Thank you.
You know, man, this is the first year I'm throwing year round, and I'm loving it. I didn't stop. I got done with the season and just kept it rocking. And I've loved it. I wish I did it sooner. You know, the idea that I usually throw around Thanksgiving for the first time, and then you spend December just building strength, and then you kind of get off the mound early January. I'm, already at full strength, and I've been able to work on stuff in December as opposed to just using the month to build strength and to, find my arm slot and not feel like a baby giraffe again. And I just think that that's been huge for me. I'm really excited to get to spring training and feel like I'm in a better spot. Last year, I just didn't show up where I wanted and definitely didn't break spring where I wanted, which I think was part of the reason which led to kind of a funky season for me. And then other than that, man, you spend the first month just getting your body back to equilibrium. We're so asymmetrical, only working one way for 6 months. You got to start working the other way a little bit. And then now we're in the throes of it. Now it's about building volume, building strength, and getting to a place where I'm going into spring training as strong and as in shape as I can, because as you guys know, it's a gauntlet. You're going to lose strength. You're going to lose just about everything you've built over the course of 162 games. So just trying to get myself to the best place possible and get ready for the marathon that we all know baseball season is.
Towards those lines of the baseball marathon, they've changed from 20 seconds to 18 seconds now, I think, with a runner on base. So what do you think about that? Does that change anything you're doing in the offseason?
It doesn't change anything I'm doing right now, but definitely will start stuff like that in spring training. Even before you get into some spring training games, you can start kind of practicing those in bullpens. They'll have the clocks going. Pickoff stations are obviously one of the stations of PFPs in spring training. They'll get the clock going for that and just start fine tuning your body to the 2 seconds less. I'm not worried about it. I did have a couple infractions this year with runners on base, so I do think I'll have to put a little attention to it. But at the end of the day, I think it's okay. I think speeding up the game just a little bit more, even though we did such a good job, I don't have a problem with it. I'm sure there's plenty of guys out there complaining about it. But, I think at the end of the day, 2 more seconds, it feels okay to me. I don't know where you guys stand on it.
Yeah, where are you guys at on that, Lo and Todd?
I don't have to deal with it, so it's
I'm not a fan. I mean, I think they should get a little more time. But
no, you do have to. Well, you didn't have to deal with it then, Lo. But
yeah,
as a hitter, the clock's for hitters too.
No, I don't mind it.
That's true. Well, me personally, anyone who's watched me play, I take my time. I'm unstrapping, strapping my gloves all the time. So I was the guy that I needed to take that little extra second to breathe and go through my plan and whatnot. But I think it's tough for hitters to adjust because they have their routine, and as we know, we're creatures of habit, and it's tough to change our routine.
Let me ask you this: Gabe Kapler, gone now. He's with the Marlins. Talk a little bit about him. Do you think he's going to do well over there? Is there, we talked about this. I wasn't a big fan of the move. I'm thinking about Skip Schumacher a lot. I don't know. Talk to us about, what he can do over there for the Marlins.
So I really do like Kapler. I respect him so much as a baseball mind. He was my minor league coordinator in LA. I've known him for a long time. He's helped me a lot in my career. He's always been in my corner. Even this last year when I was frustrated with some things, he always had my back in the media. He had my back behind closed doors. huge fan of Gabe Kapler. I think he's very, very smart. He is definitely a analytical mind. He is definitely a forward thinker. But at the end of the day, I think he's got a really good beat on developing players and finding players that can, fit certain roles and do some things very well. And, I think that he can definitely bring some edge to the Marlins and finding talent where maybe they're not always looking. I do think that Gabe Kapler has that ability. So I think he's going to be in baseball for a very long time because he's smart and he knows what he's doing. So I think anybody that has his talents in the organization is lucky. Will he ever manage again? I'm not sure. I enjoyed him as a manager, but I think that he's got a really good eye for developing players and helping them get better and finding guys that can have, I don't know, niches in certain areas, whether it's a reliever with a certain pitch or a guy that can really hit lefties or certain kinds of lefties, whatever it is. I just think that he's got a really good eye for ball players. So I got to think he's going to help them get better. That at the end of the day, that was a good team. They made the playoffs. They got the reigning NL Manager of the Year, and they just brought on some more talent in the front office with Gabe Kapler. So I would be bullish on the Marlins for sure.
Now, I don't want you to think I'm like bullying you here a little bit, but like the Giants, the brand of baseball to me, like last year, it wasn't like, look at this. It was kind of boring if you want the truth. You know what I mean? Like it's just something there. Do you feel like you'll need somebody to spice that up, or was it just, business as usual for the Giants and they weren't really worried about anybody else or what they thought?
It's a little bit of both, right? I think I touched on it earlier that we didn't play a very exciting brand of baseball. We didn't. I don't think I'd be hurting anybody's feelings by saying that. I think that we had to do what we had to do to win games, though. We weren't scoring a ton of runs, so we started employing some interesting stuff on the pitching side as far as openers and how we were using guys in like bulk appearances and things like that. We had Logan Webb through 230 innings. Thank God for him. And Alex Cobb had a great year. And after that, it was kind of all hands on deck anytime in the run prevention side, right? And at the end of the day, coming down to the last road trip, we were the third wild card team when we left, and we went 2-8 on that road trip, and we were done. But we were in it till the very end, and that's a testament to the coaching and the front office and the players buying into the brand of baseball that we had to play to win games. It wasn't always fun. We didn't always love it, but we bought into it, and it kept us in it to the very end, and we fell a little bit short. Now, I think if you were to ask everybody, and I touched on it earlier, we need to start playing a more traditional brand of baseball with 5 starters, with everyday players, with some star talent. And I think when you look at teams that have won World Series that compete into the playoffs and win divisions, that's usually what they have. And I think you're seeing that from Farhan and the front office this year as far as being in on the talent that's out there on the free agent market and trying to, field a more, normal team, whatever you want to say it, a traditional team that'll go out there and compete at a higher level than even we did last year.
Ross, we've talked about this in the past because you've been a swingman. You're hey, I'll do whatever I need to do kind of guy, right? I mean, obviously you usually want to start, but you've been in situations, even going back to your Dodger days when you first came up, where you're like, yeah, if I need to be a multiple inning guy out of the bullpen, whatever it is. On the other side of that, with this past season, and like you mentioned, really down the stretch, kind of like 2 starters on the more traditional side, and then a lot of mixing and matching. Do you believe in that? Is that good? Because now we look at the offseason and innings are being valued more than ever. So if you are a starter that can give a team 200 innings, I mean, you are getting paid. Even like Eduardo Rodriguez the other day, right? I mean, when he's been on the field, he had his stuff off the field. But when he's been with the ball club, whichever team he's with, he gives you innings, and he just got $80 million. So how do you think we can get to a point like that? Because I'm sure if it was up to the Giants, they would have 5 starters that could go 180 to 200 during the regular season, right?
I think so, for sure. I think at the end of the day, if you go back to spring training of last year, I don't think anybody, Farhan, Gabe Kapler players, thought that we would go the route that we went. I think everybody wanted to throw 5 starters out there, 8 everyday guys, bullpen with roles, et cetera. That's the dream for sure. And then things adjust based on injuries and how your team's playing, et cetera. That was one thing that was a little bit frustrating for me last year was, I started in Toronto, went into free agency expecting to be a starter, and we're kind of doing the 2-starter thing, and I'm like sitting over there like, hey, I can start. Like, run me out there. I'm ready. I'll give you 100 pitches and 6+ innings. And we just kind of did what we did, and honestly, it was working. In games that we opened, at one point, I think we were like 17-4 or something. Like, so it was working, and we stuck with it. And anyways, to get back to your question, yes, I definitely think that teams want guys that can go out there and get 18 outs, and you roll out your script. It just is hard. This is Major League Baseball, is the highest level of baseball in the world. Guys get hurt. Guys go through struggles. It's just hard to script a game, hard to script a week, and expect it to go that way. And I think teams have to adjust. So at the end of the day, you kind of do what some teams are doing, where you bring in like 7 starters, and you just hope that some stay healthy. And when the time comes, you can make an adjustment. And but I do think there's a lot of value in the swingman role that I did for a long time, which is a guy that is ready to start when you need him, but he can give you 3 innings out of the bullpen, bridge a short start to the back end of the bullpen, and do it again 3 days later. And then 5 days later, if there's an injury, he starts and gives you 5 innings. I think that's extremely valuable. You see a lot of teams that have guys like that. I did it for a long time. It's just I would prefer to start any day of the week for sure. I think that's the best gig in baseball.
Yeah, I like that. One more Bay Area question for you. Since we've spoken to you, the A's move got more official. Are you grateful that next season you're in San Francisco with the Giants? And next year, I think they're fine. They're still playing in Oakland. But at some point, there are going to be players most likely part of a team that is kind of displaced, could be playing in 2-3 different places, could be like Sacramento in April, Vegas in May, like all over the place. It seems like the league doesn't even have it figured out yet. Being a veteran and having a family, do you feel for a situation like that could pop up? And the Toronto situation even, right? Where it's Buffalo,
Yep.
It's Dunedin. So you can certainly relate here.
You're exactly right. I lived through it, man, with a newborn son. We spent 2 months in Dunedin, 2 months in Buffalo, and 2 months in Toronto. At kind of the tail end of COVID there, it was madness. Yes, I feel for those guys. It is not easy. I think that's a young team. That the Blue Jays team that I had that did that was young. So there's a lot of guys that didn't mind it at all. They thought it was great, especially playing in Dunedin and Buffalo. Vladdy would have hit 78 homers if we stayed in those 2 places. So those guys, I think they'll probably enjoy it.
Uh-oh. We lost. Oh, I didn't know if that was just me.
I didn't know either. I didn't want to say nothing, interrupt him.
We lost Ross.
Yeah, we lost.
All good. Well, that was the last thing he was saying anyway. So
I got one more thing for him, so we'll try and get him back.
Scotty, you're on a roll today, man.
Just a little something. He's got a little vent. We're the promoters here too.
Listen,
we got to promote for our people, so he's got a little something coming up. And I know people are anxious for us to get back into Ohtani and all the rumors, which we will do if we can get Ross back. Actually, surprisingly, for driving around wherever the heck he is, the service was running pretty good. Better than most hotels across the country, I'll tell you that.
Or my house.
Don't jinx it. Ross is coming back in just a sec. And then I know many people asking about the reports that are popping up. I mean, the problem here is that you're going to have a lot of people trying to put a report out there about the Ohtani situation. And when you have, one side saying one thing, or you have one reporter or one news outlet or whatever you want to call it saying one thing, and then you have others saying something else. Like, for me personally, I'd like our guy Ken, even if he doesn't break it, I'd like him to confirm whatever gets thrown out there. You know what I'm saying? Is that fair?
No, this is going to go down in history of, like, you're going to write a book about this, what the people are writing online or whatever. You can write it's going to be unbelievable. They're going to have a movie, and it's getting crazy. And I feel like today's like one of the biggest days. People like, oh, I just saw him at a Dunkin' Donuts. No, actually, he was at he was at the gas station. He was, pumping his own gas. Like, yeah, I mean, this is insane right now. This is unheralded. It's unbelievable.
It might be like stunt doubles too, because he has one.
He does. Remember that? Yes, he does.
Really?
He doesn't do team photos. He's got a guy.
Did not know that. Wow.
That was unbelievable. Yeah.
Yeah, it was. I think it was like August. They did a team photo,
Mm-hmm.
and he wasn't there, so they had someone fill in for him.
Oh, must be nice. That's nice. Popular guy, I guess.
That's good living. It's good living.
Yes.
All right. So while we have a second, then we can show the tweets right now that are popping up, the latest here on Ohtani. So here's JP Hornstra, Dodger Nation, right? For JP? Is that his spot? He said, Ohtani choice is in. This is not a drill. Yeah, he's with Dodger Nation, our friends over there. He's saying it's a done deal. Ben Nicholson-Smith, who reports on the Blue Jays, said sources tell him and Shai Davidi, they're from Sportsnet, that there is no decision made by Ohtani, nor is there a timeline for a decision, just that the Blue Jays are a finalist. We'll see where it leads. This is where things get crazy, okay?
You don't know who to believe, though, man. It's like
exactly.
If they don't have a blue check mark, do you not believe them? Like you can't. I don't know.
Well, that doesn't matter anymore because it matters for other social media.
But you know
platforms.
what I'm saying.
I'm saying you could buy a check mark.
Everything plays into it.
Yeah.
Well, my thing also is, in addition to, you have one person saying it's done, and then you have this group saying it's not done, Davidi and Nicholson-Smith. But then on top of that, like we started out the show, Morosi says it's imminent. They said there's no timeline. That sounds like the opposite to me. What is the opposite of imminent? No timeline.
There we go. Well, who is the guy that?
Oh, there's the big dog.
Oh, he's back.
Oh, there he is. All right, Ross, let's finish strong here because we're about to just dive into our TMZ Ohtani rumor mill again here because fans are freaking out thinking it's done, but then you have other reporters shooting it down, which I know you don't want to be a part of. But let's finish here with what you've got going on with Candy Digital coming up. We'll show the tweet too. Like you mentioned here, feeling the holiday spirit, a lot of freebies going down. You're going to do a little giveaway break live stream coming up. What day is that? On December 13th.
Yes. Show the topic bar.
Is that me? What's the topic bar?
We got it. There it is. Giveaway on the 13th, 3:30 Eastern. Nice. Go ahead. We need the plug. What are you doing?
So I'm an ambassador for Candy Digital. If you guys love collecting baseball cards as kids, these are just digital baseball cards, right? NFTs definitely have some pros and cons to the stigma of the word. But at the end of the day, if you just think about these as digital trading cards, digital baseball cards, and how much we loved collecting them as kids, this is now done online. And you can do it through Candy. They're officially licensed through MLB. And you can break packs like you did when you were a kid. You get a Topps pack and break them open and get the feeling of what's in there. This is now done digitally. And I'm doing that with them next Wednesday, like you said, on the 13th. And we're going to give away some of the cards that we open. And, they've done an awesome job. They've been doing it for 2 years now or so. And this is, I think, one of the newest drops of cards that they've done. I think they're called Icons or Icons 2. And it's just going to be fun. And for anyone that hasn't experienced digital collecting or collecting baseball cards online, come check it out. It's as fun as it is doing it as having the physical card in your hand, I promise. So please come check it out. It's a lot of fun. And, the star power is in there. Everybody that you want to collect, the Seagers, the Sotos, the Aaron Judges, they all have cards. You can collect all your favorite players. So it's literally Pokemon and baseball cards when we were kids, just brought to the new age here.
Hey, Todd, show him what you got because I don't think he's seen it.
I just got one here. Hold on, let me grab this on. This is my one of one here.
Yeah, cool. Can't see it. What do you do? Are you going to hit a homer?
Yeah, an Oppo homer. No, this is probably the single.
Must be nice. Hit off the Oppo homer.
Yeah, that's the single.
Yeah,
but
sweet.
Ross, I don't know if you're aware, but Todd Father hit a home run without his bat, essentially, in his hands.
Yeah, these are cool. Hey, dude, these are absolutely amazing.
Yeah, same. I have so that's called an infinite object. That's just the NFT put into a hard version of it. And I have one too. It's of me striking out JD Martinez, maybe like the one time I've gotten him out. So that's one of my prized possessions.
Love that. Well, Ross, we'll be there. We'll look forward to that on the 13th. Thanks for joining us, dude. Stay locked to your phone. Big things happening soon, okay?
Yep, you guys as well, man. Enjoy the day. It'll be fun.
Thank you. Cheers, Ross.
All right,
Ross
see you guys.
Stripling with us from the San Francisco Giants and safely driving to his destination too. So everything worked out perfectly there. And for more on Candy Digital and to get a free MLB team pack, go to go.candy.com/pack for your own digital collectibles, buy, sell, trade, the whole deal, but a free team pack to get yourself going. And you can also choose to leave that pack unopened, which gives it more value in the future, potentially. Okay. Back to the rumor mill for a moment here, and eventually we're going to talk to Trent Rosecrans of the Cincinnati Reds. So here's more from Ben Nicholson-Smith from Sportsnet, because I know the YouTube channel is starting to load up. I got more texts today by far than I've gotten all year from people, friends, saying, I cannot wait for this to happen today. I am jumping right onto YouTube for your live show, whenever that is. I'm like, yeah, I hope it's during the hours too that we're on. But in the meantime, when you see a report out there from someone who's saying it's done, some people are jumping on being like, oh, well, I'm going to hop onto FT and see what they have to say. So we'll report all the rumors for you. So Ben Nicholson-Smith says, just because there's no final agreement with the Blue Jays now doesn't mean there won't be one. The Jays have been pushing all in for Ohtani. There's clearly mutual interest. As of this moment, though, there is no final decision made by Ohtani, according to sources that are talking to him and to his colleague Shai Davidi. So we will keep you posted. Okay?
What does that number look like? That's what I want to know. What does the all-in Shohei number looks like, final number, in you guys' opinion?
I think with Toronto, and if I'm Ohtani's rep, I'm like, California taxes suck, but if you do the tax meter for Major League Baseball players, you guys correct me if I'm wrong. I know you didn't play in Toronto, either of you, and actually we just had Ross on. I'm pretty sure he's mentioned it before. California is tough. Oh, here we go. From Spot Track. Wow, our production team is fire. If Shohei Ohtani is joining the Jays, it would benefit him to structure a contract that carries a hefty signing bonus or incentive-based bonuses. Canada's, quote, salary tax rate is over 53%, but bonus rates come in near 15% if structured properly. Also, signing bonuses are taxed where an athlete lives. They stand outside of the jock tax. Wow.
Now we're getting deep.
We're getting deep. Here, I'm going to summarize. Bonuses would be good. Their rate, just for straight up salary contracts, is the worst for a major league player. Then I think it's California, and then you keep going down the line, right? And on the other end of that is like your Florida,
Jersey's
Texas
right there too, man.
Jersey hits you good.
God.
So here's the thing. If he's between the Dodgers and the Blue Jays, it's tough. It's tough. I always remember, you know where I learned about this? Jose Reyes. He signs with the Marlins. They tell him, we're never trading you ever. Just don't know. He's like, I want a no trade clause. And they were like, no, we don't do that. But promise, pinky swear. Yeah. And then they traded his ass like a year later. And he was like, not only did you trade me, you traded me to the Blue Jays. It's like, F you. He was pissed. They didn't care, but.
No, but yeah.
And no one's going to feel bad for you. Like, yeah, you lose some money out of it, but also would you have gotten that much? So let's talk to Trent Rosecrans right now, who, of course, is going to get into the Reds conversation with us, but we have to start with the topic of the day. And we are
where the hell is he going?
We're in total car mode. Where are you going? You moving?
Hold on. No, he's packing in Oakland.
I'm parked. I drove from Nashville, but I stopped by my mom's in Alabama, picked some stuff up, headed back home. So I'm actually in Louisville now, on my way back to Cincinnati.
Perfect.
So you got about an hour and 40 minutes left.
Is that it?
Todd, you unfortunately, I know the route between Cincinnati and Louisville too far. It's a lot faster going from Louisville to Cincinnati for a baseball player than going from Cincinnati to Louisville. One's an hour and 40, the other one's 3-4 hours.
Yeah. I got called up an hour before the game started in Louisville, and they said, I need you at the game by 7. It was 6:15. It's an hour and 40-minute drive. I got there in an hour and 15. I got there in like the third inning, got my first ever hit in my career on a pinch hit, and then I just sat in the bench, and I was just like, what just happened?
Wow. That's an awesome story, though. Like, imagine if you hit traffic and that never happened.
Yeah, no, I was zooming. Sorry, I had to put that in there.
I like that. I like that.
Let me
All right,
ask you
so-
this. See,
go
Trent,
ahead.
let me ask you this. Why Candelario? Why did they pick him up? I was so confused about the pickup. I mean, what do you think, in your opinion? Are they just trying to get another guy to have a backup plan for these young guys? Like, what do you think?
Yeah, I think that's part of it. I mean, heck, you guys have some guys in here who know what it's like, that how important that veteran type thing is, and especially now with Joey. Like, Joey was gone before, but now it's even harder to see him not be gone. You need that kind of thing. And oh my God, I look like I live in this rental car. I do not, I promise you. Anyway, sorry, because it came up big, and I'm like, holy crap, this looks terrible. I was having lunch with a friend. Anyway, sorry about that. You know, there's not really a lot of high-level infield depth in their minor league system. It's most of the minor leaguers are going to be Double-A at the highest, and at Triple-A, they're searching for Triple-A infielders, so they don't have that. The thought is Spencer Steer then goes to the outfield. Spencer Steer is a full-time left fielder because they had wanted a right-handed bat, and this kind of does that as well. Between the young guys, you figure you have your young guys. You have Noel V. Marte, who hurt his hamstring in spring in the Dominican, and will be coming back for spring training. But if that happens at the end of the year, what do you have? Ellie De La Cruz at short, and Matt McClain at second, and Jonathan India and Christian Encarnacion Strand at first. India can play second. Candelario can play both corners, probably some second. Ellie can play. I mean, he's Ellie De La Cruz. I think he could play anything. And I kind of feel the same way about Matt McClain. So you guys, those kind of players, but you just didn't have a whole lot of others. And a switch hitter is good. But, I don't think anybody would be surprised if we saw another trade.
Yeah, that's where I'm getting to, because what you just said just now, C. Trent, does not give playing time to everyone. And you got a DH spot, I get it. And I already kind of assumed that Spencer was going to be an outfielder for them even before this move. So I'm wondering if there's something else. Like, we had Nick Krall. I mean, say about a week or so ago, we're not planning on trading Jonathan India. Now, you can say that and then still say plans changed. We got a good offer. But I'm just like, usually teams, if they feel like they're going to move a guy, will say, we're a team. Anybody could call us and players could move. I felt like there was a little bit more of a vote of, he's staying with us. We want him. And then when I see Candelario, I'm like, that just makes the infield more crowded. You're sending a message.
Yeah, but I think they really do want him. And if you have, say, the way the math works out, if you have those infield spots and you have the flexibility that those guys offer you, you say, what is it? We have 5 guys there or 6 guys there between the 5 positions. If you're including DH, between them, they all play like if they're healthy, and that's always a big thing. The way the math works out, you could have 5 guys start 142 games and 1 start 100. And the flexibility of a switch hitter really helps there, especially because everyone I named there, I believe, other than Ellie, is a right-handed hitter. And Ellie is also a switch hitter along with Candelario.
Let me ask you this now. Nick Martinez, awesome pickup, I think. I think he's going to have a really good, not bounce back season, but a better season than he had last year. Is there any other top end starters that they're trying to look for trade wise, pickup wise? I'm not saying the Yamamotos of the world, but some simpler top end starters.
Yeah. Simple top end starters is kind of an oxymoron, isn't it, Todd?
Yeah, I'm trying to sound smarter. Smarter than I am. All right, so how about just simple starters then?
Well, what about Dylan
Let
Cease?
Lorenzo talk if we want to be smart. Well, like Cease, Cease, those guys. that's a possibility. But for so much, from what I've been told, like the asking prices are just over the top. They're guys that the Reds value their own players maybe more than others do, and I think that's that is always an issue when you're talking about prospects. And the thing is, the Reds have shown a pretty good idea of which guys are pretty good, and their recent track record shows that they have a pretty good idea what these guys can become. And I think most of what that we saw, they were even better than what they expected. So they're reluctant to give up some top end talent, guys like Connor Phillips, who they feel is like almost there, who could be that top line starter in the future, or maybe a swing guy or something. They have the guys, and that's who most people are asking for. And I just don't think that they want to give up a Connor Phillips yet.
So do you think that this is it? This is the rotation we're rolling with? Because my concern is, I get it. There wasn't a lot to work with at the trade deadline last year.
No,
and everyone's having the
right.
Jordan Montgomery regret, right? I mean, Mike Hazen was public about that for the Diamondbacks. I'm sure the Reds would have loved to have Jordan Montgomery in their rotation in the second half of the season. But I'm still concerned that it's not just a depth thing for me, that if the Reds are thinking they're a playoff team this coming season, do we feel really good about what they have for games 1, 2, and 3?
It depends. Like, we've seen those guys they're different depending on the time, when healthy. Yeah, they really like those guys. But, both of you guys who played on this panel know that, you always hear talk about guys need to learn how to play in October. Well, for those young guys, they need to learn how to play in September. And this team was not going to go very far after that last year, because most of those guys' legs were gone. I remember talking to Andrew Abbott, and we talked to him like last week. And he just said, my arm was great. It was my legs. And so I've learned that I have to do those legs. Ellie De La Cruz said the same thing. Like, it's my legs. Everything starts with my legs. And Todd, I know you really well, and I respect the heck out of you. And then Lorenzo Cain is one of my all-time favorite players. He's the only player who I thought, okay. Like, I always got mad when the Royals gave away number 6 because Willie Wilson I just loved as a kid. And I was like, Lorenzo Cain, he can wear Willie Wilson's number 6. And now it's Willie and Lorenzo's 6. I don't even know where I was going with all that. But, you have to learn how to play deep. And sorry, I'm all over the place today. You have to learn how to play in the September, because 162 is just huge. Like, both you guys know, what if that first time that you're in game 150 and your legs are just saying, I'm done. And they had everybody like that. Only Joey had played that far. So it was a tough one last year. But I think everybody is so excited. I was just at Reds Fest, and those guys they were psyched. It was really interesting to see all of those guys together. So Reds Fest is always in December. And they announce everybody on stage at 5:30. And so a lot of the veterans will get there at 5:30 or 5:15. I walked in the room Friday at 4 p.m. and everybody was already there. And I was like, these guys aren't young enough to know that you don't have to show up yet. Heck, somebody might have even made the mistake. Actually, I heard 2 people made the mistake. They didn't win it all, but there's a poker tournament the last night. Rookies always want to win that. And Todd Frazier won it one year.
That's
and
right.
The veterans understand that, you be nice for a couple of hands and you bet large and you get out and you go home. But these guys are not old enough to know that you get out early and that you don't win any real money. Maybe Todd didn't understand that he had to give all that money out when he won, he just wanted to win because he wanted to win.
Exactly.
He's a gamer. Hey. What'd you get, Todd? Didn't you get to give money to charity or something?
I think it was like $30,000 that was just sitting right in front of me, and they're like, "Yeah, thanks for helping out the Reds charity," or what, I forget what it was called. I'm like, okay, cool.
You got your own charity.
Yeah, but at the time I was young, I didn't have it. It was just
right.
Yeah, but whatever. It is what it is. That was the start of me giving back to the Reds a lot. But I want to go back to the regular Reds, and I want to talk about Ellie De La Cruz because Scott and I really like him, and I want to see a great year out of him next year. Do you think, I'm not going to call it a bounce back year, but do you think he can step up and, keep going and have that year that everybody's been hoping for? I know it was just a sample size, but you think he can average his stuff out and get back to where he needs to be, knowing that he's going to be the shortstop of the future, it seems like?
Here's the thing with Ellie De La Cruz. Here's the floor we're talking about. We're talking about a guy, even if he does not get on base at a league average, say 320 is league average, if he gets on base at 300%, at a 300 clip, he's going to still steal 50 bases. At Great American Ballpark, he's going to run into 25 to 30 homers, and that's if he's not hitting well. And he's got real potential at shortstop. So if he's an above average shortstop, there's like a 300 on base, 50 steals, 25 to 30 homers. To me, that's almost the floor. I know that sounds crazy because those are crazy stats, but if he can do that, you're talking an all-star, right? Like if you play above average defense at short, steal 50 bags and hit 25 to 30. And like, I think that's where they feel his floor is. That's why there's no talk of moving him to center field. Heck, center field can be so much more taxing on a body than even shortstop. Center field is one of those tough positions where you're throwing your body all around, and it's unforgiving position. So I don't know. I think I just don't doubt Ellie De La Cruz. Like that talent is, not only is the talent upper tier level, this guy's a baseball player, and you guys here know this. Like, the biggest compliment you can give a guy is that he's a ball player. And the Reds have a lot of ball players. It starts with Jonathan India. I really believe Jonathan India set the tone for this team. Jonathan India is a ball player. Spencer Steer, Matt McClain, they're ball players. Ellie De La Cruz is a ball player. You don't do what he did in Milwaukee this year without being around the game, loving the game, and thinking about the game. Like that play against the Brewers where he steals first, then steals second, and then steals home at the same time, like right after that. That is a baseball player's play. Like, you guys, I'm sure we're just like, oh my God, this is so great. And that's the kind of stuff he does all the time. I saw him in the minors a lot. I think there's just so much, and you need a guy who everybody looks at and the other team looks around, and like, other teams are being, I don't want to him to hit it out of the stadium for me. That helps everybody else. When he's on base and they're like, okay, he got a single or something, he's on third base, I got to be really careful with whoever's at the plate. He could just be such a catalyst because of that unbelievable amalgamation of skills as well as the mental part.
Well, it's definitely good to hear I was able to represent that number 6 the right way. So that's definitely good fun.
And you know what I'm talking about, like Willie Wilson.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, like Willie Wilson was phenomenal. Go back and look at Willie Wilson football highlights on YouTube. That dude was ridiculous. So yeah, Willie Wilson. Sure, that was my Willie Wilson day.
Nice, but with the most, I would say, the most famous guy on the internet today, he's all over the place. Shohei Ohtani. I just want to hear your top options where you think he will land.
All I know is it's probably not Cincinnati. That's the biggest thing. The Toronto thing I think is so interesting. Toronto is an interesting. I still like. Who bets against the Dodgers? I've been driving all day, so I don't know whatever the newest and greatest was that I heard you guys talking about with the Blue Jays. But they're a team I think who could do it, and that would be really interesting. It's almost going to be the Dodgers or the Blue Jays is kind of what I'm thinking.
Yeah, that's what it's looking like, man. So we've got people anxiously awaiting in our chat right now the final decision, but we don't even know that final decision could still come days from now. So that we are getting like ultimate insider reporter wars with people coming out there saying he signed with this shocker, right? He's going to Toronto. Someone else saying, no, that's not made yet. Imminent. No deadline for him right now on when he's signing. So we are just seeing opposites all over Twitter right now, which makes for a very fun show. We have become TMZ for the day, C. Trent.
Hey, I'm glad you got me on to add to that. So.
Yes, we did. We did. It was important. Well, enjoy the rest of the trip, dude. Safe drive. Thanks for pulling over for it too. And we'll catch you again soon, hopefully, when the Reds make more moves. All right.
Sounds good.
Cheers,
I'm just going to drive by Todd Frazier Memorial Stadium here in Louisville.
There you go. All right. Thank you.
Let's go.
See you later,
Trent. Appreciate you.
Cheers.
Woo. All right. So Bob Nightingale, by the day, said, wild day of Ohtani rumors. Ohtani has not made a decision to sign with the Jays or any team as of yet. At this point, I can tell you two things. There are people putting their reputations on the line, and if he doesn't sign within 24 hours,
if one of these guys messes up,
hurt.
If one of these guys messes up, they're done.
You've also already got someone saying he's a lock. It's the Jays. Again, careful. Maybe you're right, but we got a lot of conflicting reports going on right now. We got one more before we bring in our next guest. Got one more tweet to show that I have not seen yet. Click, F5, click, refresh, click. Thank you, Grant Brisby. All right. Let's recollect for a moment here. We're going to bring in our friends who we haven't seen in a minute.
Yeah, what the heck goes there?
It's been a minute. We need a little sense of calmness to our day right now.
Womanly touch. We need a womanly touch.
Yeah, we need some help right now. So our BetMGM segment coming up here right now with our friend Lucy Burdge. Back on FT.
Hello,
Lucy,
you guys.
great to see you. Happy Ohtani rumor day. How are you doing? Knowing, at least for you personally, obviously you are, our Red Sox specialist too. They are pretty clearly not in the running, but they might be seeing a lot of Shohei Ohtani if he does end up with the Toronto Blue Jays.
Yeah, you say clearly they're not in the running. I don't know if you're aware of where the New Balance headquarters is, because that is what is keeping my hopes up. It's right outside of Boston here, where he could easily just do all of his sponsorships and collaborations and be in close touch with the people of New Balance, which is his biggest sponsorship, I would say. So I just think it makes the most sense that they would swoop in and be the underrated candidate here, because his private jet is flying to Toronto and the sushi restaurant is rented out for tonight for 50 plus people. But that doesn't mean that he's actually going to the Blue Jays. He could be using it for leverage, and the Red Sox will say, oh, you know what? Actually, we want him, and they'll work out a deal. So I don't know if clearly they're out of the running. If you want,
I will
calm,
say this though,
I'm definitely calm right now.
You're not bringing the calmness level down for us right now. You're trying to add teams to the rumor mill. But also think about this: if I'm New Balance, I'm moving my headquarters wherever the hell he wants to go. Okay, he's the freaking face of my baseball, endorsements and all that crap. So
yeah. I didn't think of that.
It's getting wild.
It's a perfect day. Well, I love it. I honestly live for this, so this is perfect.
This is great. I hope they figure it out soon, because I was telling you before, there's going to be a movie about this whole situation, about the rumors and people. But I think you might know this, but I'm not sure that the Patriots have not trailed in the game since Verdugo got swept up by the Yankees. Isn't that incredible, or what?
This is a fact. This is an abs. They have not lost or trailed in a game, and his middle name just happens to be Brady. And you know what? I would say that's why the odds for the Yankees have shortened so much. Alex Verdugo has joined the Yankees, so obviously now they're going to win the World Series. Nobody else had anything to do with that. Look how incredible this is. They have not trailed in a game since the Yankees acquired Alex Verdugo. Alex Brady Verdugo.
I wonder who wrote that. I think we know that person.
Very smart person, I think. Very intuitive.
Good stuff.
How does that trade look? How does that trade plus the Juan Soto trade look for you? And I mentioned that also because, as we check out futures and try and, predict what's going to happen in the division, the Yankees' odds to win the World Series have increased over the last 48 hours.
Yeah. Yeah. Honestly, to me, not that big of a deal. I thought that was expected that the odds would change in such a way as that, but I think it's an overreaction. And I still see that one player changing it that much, cutting their odds in half to win the World Series. No, I don't see it. I still don't think that the Yankees, I wouldn't take those odds, basically. I would not take the Yankees odds to win the World Series right now or to win the AL East. I would rather take the Orioles odds right now to win the AL East, but I don't see a big signing like that. Yes, changes the odds and makes them shorter. Yes, because the odds makers will say they have a shorter odds and a better chance to win the World Series. But I just never see a big splash signing like this having sustained success in the sense that the expectations stay where they are when the signing happens. I don't think this is going to lead them to win a World Series, but just based on this, because everything has to go right for a team. As we know, obviously it's a long season and we have a long time until a long season even begins. So I don't see this meaning that the Yankees are necessarily going to win the World Series. And I don't think their odds should have shortened that much based on just this.
I'll be honest with you. Your energy today is on a high level,
Yeah.
which I'm enjoying. Right, you're
Not
spunky
calm.
today. I love it. I love it. Say the Red Sox don't get Shohei Ohtani. I know you're not an insider or anything, but what would make
Yeah.
you happy? Who would make you happy coming on board to be a new Red Sox right now? Like, who's that next person in line? Like, all right, this will set us. This will kickstart us going back in the right direction.
Yeah, well, basically, what they have been saying is that we're happy with what we have right now, and I guess that's what was going forward. But yeah, if I mean, Shohei Ohtani right now is the target. So if we're looking beyond that, you can't right now. Once Shohei signs, then I think we will see what follows. But right now, Shohei Ohtani.
You can't. You can't. He's
Anyone
not
but
going to
Shohei.
be. He's not going to be a Red Sox. So,
Yeah.
how about a Yamamoto? Would that be fine if you got Yamamoto next?
I would hope that he would come to the AL East should a Shohei Ohtani sign in the AL East. I would really
All right.
hope that happens, but that would be ideal. But I don't even know if that will happen. And the Red Sox have to make a move. They have to make some move to respond to what the rest of the division, what the rest of baseball is doing. They have to make some move. So yes, that would be perfect. I hope that would happen. But they have to make some move. They have to do something, and that would be ideal, I think.
I don't think they're getting him either.
Yeah, I know, that's the
just being real right now. They need
Yeah.
pitching, right? They're coming off a bad year. I
they
think
do.
their lineup outperformed most people's expectations this past season, but the pitching was pretty much a disaster, which was expected. So I'm wondering, first off, you bring in a former pitcher in Craig Breslow. I think they're trying to replicate the Chris Young situation in Texas, right? They bring in a general manager, the Ivy Leaguer, former big leaguer. I think the former big league pitcher part is the big part of this, where some teams are not investing enough in pitching. So even if they don't get Yamamoto, has there been an outcry? I mean, your boots on the ground there for Boston fans to at least see this team spend money again. I think that's the main problem too. Yes, pitching is expensive, Lucy, but I'm going to pull this up for you in a second to give you a little scope of how far the payroll has fallen behind in terms of other teams. So this ownership group, when they took over, they had the Red Sox in the top 5 in payroll for their first 18 years running the franchise. Then in 2021, they fell out of the top 5. So they said, you know what? We're making a ton of money, but we want to keep a little more of it. Okay. So we'll let some other teams pass us by. And then this past season, they fell out of the top 10 in terms of payroll. So I know that payroll doesn't always convert into winning. Cardinals, Mets, Padres, Yankees this past season, but it certainly increases your chances, especially when you need pitching to get on the market. So what do you think Boston fans are thinking right now about the way this team's being run?
They're outraged. From what I've seen, outraged. Because you look at the years of that and the numbers there, and some things happened in that time where John Henry has acquired other teams in other countries, in other sports, football in Europe, and the Penguins in hockey. So I think the general thought is that his attention is in other directions. And you see the Yankees with Juan Soto hearkening back to the Steinbrenner era when he was still with us. And this is a player he would have loved to have on our team. The Red Sox need to hearken back to a time when they were chasing a World Series with an 86-year drought. They need to have that mentality again and spend money. And I think this is what a lot of fans are really frustrated with, and I am one of them. Why not? Just the goal should be to put yourself back into contention. Spend the money. John Henry has the money, but he's not willing to spend it on putting them back into contention. And I think it is, I like the putting Breslow in this position because Chaim Bloom, in terms of nerd and baseball nerd, similar, but he didn't have that part where he's a former player. Breslow does, obviously. So I think that this is moving them in the right direction, but spending money is important. And the Red Sox, for some reason, are not willing to do that. And that's the most frustrating thing, I think, where John Henry is up there in front of the fans saying that stars are expensive. Players are expensive. You have the money, sir. People know how much money you have. And you can take it out of your own pocket, even if you really cared about this team. So they need to make some kind of move if they want to, put butts in the seats still. But they do have Tristan Casas yoga bobblehead night in May. And if the choices are Shohei Ohtani or that, I would take the bobblehead. So, if you want to spend less money, that would make me happy. But I think doing things like that only go so far. Sign a player that will put you back into contention, and enough of this. Oh yeah, bobbleheads and bucket hats, and we'll go to escape rooms, and we're going to be competitive. Like I like that, but the optics are such that you need to spend money to show that you care about this team and the future of it.
Interesting. Now let's get serious here. I know we're talking baseball, but is there anything hot right now in the betting world? Are you doing football? Are you doing all this kind of stuff every day? Like, what do you got this weekend? Like, you have anything going on?
Yes, a lot of NFL betting this weekend. Well, Army-Navy game is tomorrow.
Yep.
That is at Gillette Stadium. I am on Army -2.5 against Navy. And then also this weekend, Texans -3.5 against the Jets. I really like that.
All right.
There you go.
Yeah.
All right.
That's all we
I'm
needed
in.
to hear.
But I love diving back into baseball for a little bit. I miss it so much.
Me too.
Yeah.
I know.
Really,
Me
really
too.
tough.
Well, we're barely getting any signings because Ohtani is holding up the market, which that's his right. All good. But we have if you look at the top 50 free agents available right now, think about 45 of them or 45 of them are still unsigned. If we look at the beginning of the offseason at the top 50. So we're waiting, anxiously awaiting more news soon, including for the Red Sox. I have confidence that they're going to actually find some money out of all the profit that they've made over these years. So
I would hope so, because last I checked, imminent means very soon. And it's been a long time since imminent has been the word that was this morning is not, we've passed imminent now. We need to stop this. It should be now. I thought it would be by now. But
Thank you. Thank you, Lucy. This is a great way to finish. So I asked the guys at the start of the show, my friend JP Morosi said signing is imminent. What does imminent mean to you? To me, I was giving I'm playing it on the conservative side of things. I was like, by end of day, right? Whether you want to call that end of work day or just end of day period. Once the clock strikes 12, imminent is far gone from this morning at 9 a.m., right?
Correct. Oh, absolutely correct. Even if you want to do West Coast time, for us,
3 a.m.,
3 p.m. for us, or no, it should have been imminent. It should have been within 5 minutes. It's coming. We're getting close. Yesterday was getting close. Today is imminent. We have passed imminent. It's maybe next week. EOD now, end of December, not end of day. What? Maybe by New Year's he'll sign.
I like the end of December.
That's good. That's good. All right. Well, Lucy helping us to sift through the rumors because we're struggling right now. We appreciate it, Lucy. Have a great weekend. Good luck on your bets this weekend. All right.
Thank you. Talk to you guys soon.
Okay. Good to see you. And BetMGM has given customers the opportunity to win a grand prize of up to $25,000 if they predict the most college football games against the spread correctly out of the eligible users that are involved here. And if you predict the most college football games against the spread correctly, you will be entered to win, complete, and submit the BetMGM College Football Pick'em Challenge entry. One entry per customer is permitted. Customers do not need to make all selections at once. Selections on games can be made up until kickoff for each game. So go to the promotions tab on your BetMGM Sportsbook account to access the college football Bowl Pick'em Challenge. Gambling problem or concern? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. I think she was helpful at the end there. And I was glad she brought that up. Clearly, either she was watching the beginning of the show or we're on the same page on imminent.
She definitely was watching.
Imminent is taking on a new meaning if we get to tomorrow, we get to the next day, and we're still waiting for Mr. Ohtani to make a decision.
Tomorrow,
exactly.
I love you.
But hopefully not on the weekends, please. But you know he will. All right, let's slap hands. Fans are just hanging out in the chat. Like, if you see anything, if you hear anything, let us know. We're doing our best. We're also trying to be real with you on what we actually believe. And I said in the chat at one point, I was like, when our FT senior insider Ken Rosenthal says it's real, it's real. Okay? Ken has not put anything out yet on it. So
that's right.
Let's a friend of ours also on the show, Jim Bowden, has a tweet for us that just came out. According to sources from the team still involved in the negotiations with Ohtani, he has not made a decision, and the process is ongoing with no expected imminent conclusion. All other reports are not true.
He put that in there because the earlier. No, 100%.
I'll tell you why also, because I listened to him on his SiriusXM show early this morning, and he said that. He really went for it. Some of these insiders are going after each other a little bit, friendly, but he goes, hey, he's like, because he knows JP, he's like, you're putting your reputation on the line, man. And he said the same thing. He's like, imminent to me is coming real soon. Definitely today, within hours. He was like, it's got to happen if that's what imminent is. So a little bit of shots fired action here. What I think also is happening in my mind, Lo, is that it's so competitive, and this is such an historic decision that's being made. I think some people are trying to jump the gun, and if you do put out there, like, it looks as if he's going to be a Dodger or Blue Jay. So if someone tries to say it first and then says, see, told you he's a Blue Jay, or if someone says, see, he decided today, people might be getting a little more aggressive without, kind of checking with enough people on this, aka also, who are you checking with when there's not much information out there, and it could be only between him and his rep. I mean, even people like he's with CAA, but I bet you even most people that work for CAA, which is a huge agency, maybe most people there are not in on it right now, right? You could literally have two people talking to one or two other people on the Blue Jays. It could be player, agent, owner, GM. It could be four humans, and unless you're tapped in with one of those four, you might be a little off.
Agreed. To me, it looks like it's turned into a guessing game,
Yep.
Like who can, report it first, but at the same time, you mess up your credibility by, tweeting out early. But everyone wants to be the first to let everyone know. It can also destroy your credibility. So we'll see what happens. So it's interesting. He's the talk of the town right now. So everybody's in wait and see. But I agree with Jim. I don't think anything's as close as everyone's making it out to be.
Yep. I'm with you. What do we got? We got something to show everyone? A little video action?
Year number 3 at the Freeds. We're having a blast here at Hanukkah. Wish everybody a happy Hanukkah. We love everybody out there, especially my kids. We got ours. The tradition continues as usual. We got the lockers again, boys and girls. Blake, Kylie, Grant. You take a scoop. You want it big or small? I always go big, like I do in baseball and in life. Then we put the scoop in there and let them fry. Blake, so give it a try, kid. So, my neighbors, the Freeds, Tammy and Jerry Freed, every year we have our locker making. I've had them last night too. Come on, big dog. They're my neighbors, they're Jewish, and we have a really good time.
Love that. Love that, baby.
December 12th, I'll be doing another one, so you get another video.
Oh, yeah.
That's when we celebrate it again, on the 12th.
That's good stuff.
That looks good. That looks good. And I'm freaking hungry, too.
With applesauce on top? Oh, my.
Yeah. I'll try one of those.
Second night of Hanukkah for people celebrating. So,
Happy
Chef
Hanukkah.
Podfather, are you a master chef at home?
No, I am not.
No, what's your go-to besides the laka action that you got there?
PEC, baby. Pork, egg, and cheese all day. That's it.
There you go.
That's all I can make, really.
A little
Cinnabons that are out
chicken
of the,
fingers
out of
and
the
fries
can.
for the kiddos in the air fryer.
Elio's Pizza on a tough day. You know, Cinnabons out of the jar. I'm not. You know what I mean? I just put them in the pan and go. But my wife's the cook. Jackie's the best, though. But again, the Freeds down the street. I might go over there now and get a couple. Thanks, Jerry.
Locaine, you cooking?
Nah, I mean that's phrase. You're making a lot more than I can. So hey, take a page out of your book. Maybe I also want to say a shout out to my little man. He turned 6 today. So little Landon Kane. So
let's
that's
go,
my guy,
baby.
man.
Happy birthday.
Turned 6.
There you go. And I know I asked people for some questions. Mostly the questions just asking about obviously Ohtani. We don't know. All we know is that some people's reputations are being thrown all over the place right now for reporting conflicting news. Trades this weekend, I have no idea. I think Ohtani is holding up the market. I truly, truly believe that. Everyone has been saying that. That's the one thing that the entire industry can agree on right now, and that's all his right. But after he signs, dominoes start to fall, and they might fall quickly. So enjoy your weekend, but also...
Hey, go ahead.
I was just going to say, keep an eye on your phones.
Sweatshirts available. Foul territory coming out. Hoodies, baby. Let's go.
We've all been asking. I've
been waiting. So
Foul territory
we'll
sweatshirts.
Be the first to rock them.
We will show pictures. We will throw it all up on there. Obviously on Foul Territory Shop right now, you've got t-shirts, wristbands, hats, stickers, whatever. But we're getting a little winter mix coming soon. So look out for those sweatshirts. Fellas, have a good weekend. Yeah, stay warm.
You too. Enjoy.
Later, everybody. Maybe we'll see you this weekend for some Ohtani breaking news like Saturday at 3 in the morning. Bye.